Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host here, Chantele Francis, with my amazing co-host, Phil. I've missed you, Phil.
I know, it's been more than a week.
I know. I feel it
Very.
though. When you get into a certain rhythm, it's like kind of like, oh, something's different, something's changed. And I felt that I needed to talk to you again this week. So we decided to
That's
make a
right.
plan and talk about Survivor 42, episode 1, the premiere 2-hour episode. But first, if this is your first time joining us here on Reality Realness, do us a favor, subscribe, be part of the fun, be part of the chat, hang out with us, and, give us your thoughts and insights about these reality TV shows that we love. All right, so let's just get right into it. What are your overall thoughts of this premiere episode? And then we'll go through what happens.
Yeah. So I went into this after I wasn't overly excited. I think I was like, Australian Survivor's on. I'm okay. I've got my Survivor fill right now. But then I saw the cast and I was like, this is a different type of cast. Like, it feels different, like even more than last season. Like, it just felt very different. I felt like there's a lot of people on this cast that you wouldn't regularly see casted. So it was like, oh, this is interesting, and great age range, and then watching it, I was like, I think I'm gonna like this season. I really do. I think it's gonna be interesting. So I'm excited.
So, if you can just touch on maybe one or two people, who did you think maybe wasn't the typical cast that you were expecting?
Well, I mean, let's see. I would say, hey,
Hi. Mm-hmm.
hi. I thought that he was an interesting character. I thought the other Asian male as well. I'm sorry,
I
forgot
don't
his
think he's
name.
Asian, but Romeo?
Romeo. Oh, is he not? Oh, maybe he's not. Okay. Romeo, I thought was an interesting character as well. I love Jenny. I thought Jenny was an interesting character. Mike, the older guy.
Mike's kind
Who
of classic.
classic, yeah. But being the older, yeah. I don't know. I was just like, oh, these characters. There's a lot more. I don't want to use the word nerdy, but there's a lot more intellectual people that might not usually get casted, or at least like you get like one or two. You wouldn't get like so many.
Multiple. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Without it being called a brains tribe kind of thing.
Right. Without it being a brain strain. So yeah, like I was pleasantly surprised, and I also was just like, when I first looked at the cast, I was like, I'm not overly excited, and then once they started, like, we actually saw them in action, I was like, whoa, Marianne, was brilliant. It is brilliant.
Who has Marianne on their team? It's probably JoJo. JoJo has Marianne.
Yeah.
Just to remind you, because you probably don't remember who you have. So Ron and Phil were not able to join myself and JoJo for our draft picks. So Phil gave us an order, and I was very honest with my order. And even for myself, I wrote down my order, and I'm like, I'm not going to stray from this order that I write down because I wanted it to be fair, even though there's a few things I was like, oh, I wish I didn't do this. But I was like, no, I'm going to stick to my order. Yeah. And so your team is Omar, Swati,
which I'm happy with,
Jonathan, and Mike.
Great.
So your team ends up pretty, I think from after watching the episode, I'm like, your team's pretty good. And just to put it so we know, so Ron decided to leave it all up to alphabetical order / chance. And he has Daniel, Hi, Jackson, and Lydia. So I'm not sure about his team, to be fair. I think Hi would probably be his strongest person on his team.
I think so too. Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. All right. Adrian is here with us in the chat. Hi, Adrian. Perfect. You are excited. Yay. I'm actually excited to talk about this episode. I really didn't think I was going to enjoy 42 because I was a little bit disappointed with 41. I've been watching the last 2 seasons of Australian Survivor, and I've been finding them to be, well, definitely last season. So Brain versus Brawn, it was probably the best season of Survivor I've ever seen. And that is all, including all other franchises and the US franchise. And then this season, it's not as good as that one, but it's still really engaging, and like stuff is happening and people are making moves and think like it's entertaining and very enjoyable, and I'm sucked in. So 41, as much as I love Survivor, I just was kind of like, because they didn't show us the winner, I'm not connected to the season. I feel like it was just kind of like people were playing dice. You know what I mean? Like, and just like when somebody won the dice game. Like it just didn't feel like someone that really put in all the work to get to the end and win. I didn't see it. And so I don't have the same feeling about 41 as I have for many other seasons, including Brain versus Brawn, which I just recently watched. So I had lower expectations or hopes for 42. But I'll have to say, after watching the premiere episode, I'm enjoying it. And I'm hoping that they realize the twist that didn't work, even though they didn't get the response from the audience. They at least had the response from, say, Danny not loving that lie of a hourglass not twist. And hopefully they maybe revise some of those things just from having their cast react to these twists. So I'm hopefully optimistic that 42 will be better than 41, and it has already started off, in my opinion, better, more enjoyable.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think there's pros and cons to this new way that they do it. I do find it very laughable that we keep getting told by Jeff and everything, like, this is now harder than it used to be, but then it's 26 days, and then like you're at the same time watching Australian Survivor, and they're on day 26, and they just get to the merge, and you're like, whoa, they still got like a whole nother game still to happen. Like, you're like, okay, like, yeah, I get it's faster paced and everything, but 50 days is a long time to not be eating, like, as well. Like, so
that's one thing.
It's different.
Exactly. I totally agree. Like, we start this episode with Jeff being like a new era of Survivor, and, you know, there's crafty phrases, new twists. And I'm just like, I don't like this new face of Survivor, Jeff, but like, he thinks that we really, really love it. But like, I'm not really buying this new age. But one thing that like is frustrating though about Jeff is that he doesn't realize, like, he definitely goes in, he loves having those heartfelt moments, he loves like having those one-on-one talk, which we'll talk about later in this episode recap, but like, it's not organic anymore. And I think that that's what is bothering me about Survivor, is that they're too aware of what they're doing, and they're not allowing the natural relationships and the natural drama to unfold on its own. And so they're putting in these twists because they want people to react, but like, people will react a lot more strongly if their person that they're working with stabs them in the back and takes them out of the game. You know what I mean? Like, like that will be a lot more compelling than, you know, someone finds an idol, or an hourglass comes in and just wipes everything off. So this new era.
I will say, I remember like me and you talked after season 41. We talked I believe me and you were the premiere episode. We talked about it. And I was just like, Jeff drove me crazy. I will say, Jeff, this episode did not really drive me as crazy. I didn't feel like he was as intense about pushing this whole, it's new Survivor, and forget about what you knew, and we're going to change the way we talk to everybody. And he just made it like...
You were annoyed by him talking to the camera right at the beginning?
Well, I mean, at least he wasn't doing it as so much through the episode like he did last time. But yes, I it's cheesy, like, and it's too much. But, you know, I was glad, you know, it seems like they got rid of the little rebus puzzles. for the
Well, that's what I
audience
was
to
going to
watch.
ask you if it
Like
showed up on the first episode of 41, because like I was curious if they were going to have the game within a
I
game
thought it
again.
did. I thought it did, and they haven't been talking about it. I hope that that's gone because that sort of takes you out of what's happening. Like it's
Well,
like,
like the
oh,
zoom in on like this
I see,
puzzle.
yeah. Oh, I see Waldo. There's Waldo. I found it. Like there's the puzzle, and what was it? And I don't like. I'm not paying attention anymore. Like I'm
Like I would
yeah,
be into it if it was something that the players had to solve, and then I'm looking for it alongside with them.
with them.
I
Yeah,
can get behind that, because I usually love in any sort of competition reality show is when the game is something that I can play along with. If it's Big Brother and you have to like count
yeah,
the people with glasses, and you know what I mean, I'm doing it at the same time as the contestants. I do find that entertaining. But
yeah,
these were too easy, and it had nothing to do
yeah.
with what was going on in the game. And then if you actually did you actually go through any of them, like
No,
and
because
enter it on the
I
website?
just no. I think I like saw the first couple and I was like, oh, what is this? But like I wasn't like excited about it. I was like, this is stupid.
Well,
So
when you went through it on the website, so you'd put in the answer, and then whatever it, and you unscramble the word. It was like a 3-letter word, 4-letter word, maybe. And then he gives you basically a teaser as to what's going to happen the next episode. So he's like, oh, and next episode is going to be a challenge where someone's going to, and he kind of like spoils like what the
yeah,
major element of the episode is. I was like, this isn't good. So I'm agreeing with you. They should
yeah,
do away with it.
yeah.
Yes, Marianne is such a star. We claim her. She's from Ontario, like we are. The felon is gone. Who's the felon, agent?
Ooh,
Felon is gone. Tell us the tea, agent secret. Hi, Lori. Thank you for being here.
yeah.
Um, Halloween was spooked today. What? What's happening? I don't know what this means. We stand Marianne. Yes, we do stand Marianne. Stand Marianne.
She was
Marianne
just so
Stanica.
lovely, right? So lovely from the moment, like she was the first one to get asked a question, and like that smile is infectious, and you're just like, oh, she's so what this game needs. It's so refreshing. Like this is a new type of character who is there having fun. She's youthful, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited
And
for
she's just
her.
pure. She's a pure, kind soul that really
Yeah,
wants to be there. And I do love what she represents. We'll talk probably a little bit more about her, but she the oddball and the people that are a little bit weird, that like they can come out and fulfill their dream at like no matter what. And so I
yeah.
definitely stand Mary Ann. I hope that she does very well. Oh my god, I made it. I didn't know y'all were streaming. Yeah, it was kind of a last minute type of thing, but don't worry, we haven't even gotten into the episode yet. So you are right on time. Game within the game is stupid. Yup. Hi, Sue. Thanks for being here. Okay, so what are your thoughts about Jackson leaving? Oh, we'll definitely get there. I feel bad for him, but at the same time, someone else's dream could have happened in his place. Yes, that's something that we will definitely talk about shortly. Of course, everybody supports Marianne. Come on.
Oh yeah.
There's no way that she wouldn't. You're not talking about what happened, Agent
Oh,
Secret. So I don't know if you saw the cast list
yeah.
for CBS Survivor, CBS The Challenge. And so like using her mugshot photo was like all over the press pictures that I saw anyways. It might have been just fans putting it together, and it used her mugshot. So I was just like, that should be indicative of her not being the best candidate for being on the show.
Yeah.
So if she's gone, tell us why, Agent Secret. Please not Christmas. Oh, nobody loves Christmas. Don't worry, you are right on time. Thank you for being here. Dropped the felon. We won. Yes, we did win. Oh, well, that's good news. Thank you so much, Agent Secret. But let's talk about Survivor. So we have the 3 tribes just kind of standing on the beach. I thought that this was a bit of an awkward moment, and Jeff was just like, he wants people just to be like, oh my god, I can't believe that I'm here. So Marianne was the first person, and that's when we first get to introduce to her really excited personality. She's like, oh, look at you, I see you, you're smiling ear to ear, like, who are you? And so we get introduced to Marianne, which was really fun. then he talked to Mike, he's standing there, he's soaking it in. And then he asks Zach, so what does it take to win Survivor? And Zach's like, well, we're going to have to find out. We're going to find out soon or something like that. And Jeff was just like pretending like that wasn't enough. Come on, Jeff. What did you think about that whole
Yeah,
bit?
well, what is he supposed to say? Like, well, the answer is like like it depends on the cast and what happens, the challenges, everything. Like, who knows what it takes every season? It's gonna be different.
It's so annoying. I would be like, if I was Zach, I'd be like, what are you trying to get me to blow up my game right now? Like, come on, leave me alone. Like, or I just asked me like if I'm happy to be here. Like, yeah, I am. It's really surreal. But not be like, so this is gonna be my game strategy, and this is what it takes to win.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I'm vote you all out.
Yeah, exactly. Just be like to be the last, to outplay, outlast, and be the sole survivor. That's what I would have said, just to be kind of cheeky. So we get Jeff talking about, this game's like a monster in a horror movie. You slay this game, or the game will slay you. And I'm like, he has to stop the monster talk unless is production.
Yeah, that's the monster. There's no monster. There's no.
Ooh, Michelle's here. Hi, Mishi. No more Christmas. Oh my gosh. Oh wow, this is the tea I need. Yes, Michelle, do you want to hop on and talk about this episode with us? Let me know, and I'll send you a link. That's very fun though. That Christmas is gone. I'm sorry, Zach was so funny. He was joy. His awkwardness to Jeff's questioning was funny. Yeah, I mean, it was endearing, but I felt that Jeff was kind of making him look like he was more awkward than he actually was. Yeah, like he didn't have to be like, that's not the answer. Like he was just taking it too far, in my opinion, in what he wanted as an answer. Because I thought it was a fine answer to be like, we're about to find out. And then we're like, that's exactly right. We're going to find, you know what I mean? Like, could have been a good tee off if he chose to use that as a nice little layup. But no, he wanted to make him feel uncomfortable and stupid. So I wasn't a fan of that part of it. But I liked Zach. He's on my team, or was. 43 better be good. Oh my God. You're already on to 43. We still have 3 months together on 42. I don't think they've cast for 43 yet. They leave maybe in like May, I think. I could be wrong.
Yeah, usually March, April they go for the first one, and then it's May for the second, usually.
So they're going to have this is a new kind of twist. So the last season we had them, getting their oars from like this big barge, and then they have to paddle over to like a lock, get the lock and keys to get their flint or something like that. It was just different than the start of this one. So this one, one player from each team is going to be running into the forest. They're going to have to climb up this wall, grab an oar, and come back. And then there's 2 other legs. And so I thought that this was pretty fun. Like in the first leg was Tori, Daniel, and Jonathan. Tori, do you watch Sequester?
Sequester, I did watch. Yeah.
Did you watch Tori's?
I watched like the minis, the on the computer ones. I didn't really watch the shows too much. So I heard she was on the show.
Yes. So Tori was on, I think it was season 2, maybe 2 or 3 of the live action version of Sequester. And I watched her, and she came in, I believe, 6th place. And she was fun to watch because she was trying really hard, but she did always rub people the wrong way. So with all of her pre-season stuff, it's kind of like, she's like, oh yeah, I'm going to use like my knowledge as a therapist to like really help me here. And I was like, I don't know if that's going to help people like you more, because you actually aren't really that likable. But I did enjoy her because she became the underdog, and she was playing well, and she was playing hard. So I was definitely interested to see how she was going to be playing this game. So she's running into the forest with Daniel and Jonathan. They're all falling in the sand and whatnot. And they come back. Jonathan, of course, gets back first. Like, lucky pick for you, because I wasn't thinking that he was going to be as physically dominant as he really is, because he compares himself to like Ozzy and like all the other very physical athletic men. And so I was like, well, they don't ever really win, but this guy there's no way anybody's voting him out before the merge. Like,
No.
you need him.
No, but I do, from what I saw in some interviews, one of the reasons that I did like him, I mean, he wasn't one of my first picks, but one of the reasons I did like him, I felt like I got more of, a lot of people were saying Aussie, but I got a little bit more of like a Malcolm vibe from him.
Yeah.
Like he does seem to be understand what the game is. Like I like he gets the game. Like Aussie, it was always about I'm gonna provide and I'm gonna win the challenges and then they're gonna respect me. Well, it's like, well, yeah, but you don't play the game. You got to play the game, and I think he's gonna play the game. But he's gonna have a huge target at the merge. Like
oh my god, yes. Like he's gonna have to just win out like completely. Like if that's not the case. Like completely keep on winning. So
but when they we saw Tori fall and Tori took a Tori's tumble was like big, like that looked painful, and then of course,
and then Daniel falls, and he's like, I think I dislocated my shoulder, and his like arm is just like completely just like dangling down there. I was like, that looked very uncomfortable and very painful.
Yeah.
Very not fun. Ooh, we have a friend joining. I was impressed with
that.
Right. Hey, Queen.
It's so funny. I just left my my Joe job at the weed shop, and I was like, I saw your thing post up that you started this chat, and I was like, oh my god, Survivor! And then I just started watching it on my walk home, and then you're like, Joan, I'm like, let's get home.
That's fun. Well, thanks for being here, Michelle.
Of course.
So we're pretty much in the beginning of it, but what is your overall thoughts of this new season?
Yeah, I mean, I always love Survivor. I agree with everything you've been saying in terms of like, some of these twists, like I'm not a fan of. Hopefully there isn't that breaking of the fucking thing, as you said. But I'm still excited. Like, you know, there's some people that are promising. I'm into Marianne. There's a couple people that I'm like, I can get behind you, like do well. So yeah, but it was definitely a weird episode too. With the Jackson stuff, which we'll get into, I'm assuming.
Yes, definitely really strange. Yeah. So the next part, we have people running and getting a second set of oars. And then it was a third set of oars that was the weird one, right?
There was only two. Second. Yeah.
Okay, actually, they only did two, and then the other two oars were in the boat already. That's right. And so the second group of people go. So it's Lindsay, Dre, and Hai, and they have to stop, and they have to like make a decision. So they can either just go back and take their oars and pretend like nothing's happened, or they can all get a third of an amulet, and then they have to cover themselves in blood and dirt and pretend and make this decision together or whatever, and then run back to their tribes. So what did you guys think about this as a twist? Michelle,
I thought it was like okay. Like I was like, I like the idea of like we can make this bond, but it's so hard to make that kind of decision when you don't know what it is. Like, you know, when they walk up the path, you have time to talk and kind of gauge what these kind of people are. To have these three people, it's like already the guy who put blood on himself, I'm like, that's already fake. Like already I wouldn't believe you. Stop. Like make it believable. I'm rolling around in like the mud and the sand. Like make it like I crawled through. Let's make a plan of what we actually did.
Well,
Why do
I
you
think that what they should have done is like maybe wrestle or something like that. Yeah. And so like maybe throw mud on themselves and then just wrestle around in the dirt so it'll just fall in natural places, not just like smeared perfectly across the cheek or like blood splatter on the chest like this. Like
like okay, why if they wanted to use the blood, which they didn't have to use the blood.
I think they had to use the blood.
If they did, they should have just dipped one little nail in there, like they cut their nail or something. They shouldn't have wiped it all over themselves because there's no holes. There's no cuts.
It's like what, you have to slaughter a pig? Like it was just
there's no cuts. Like it's not. There's just and then when he runs back, they're like, "Are you bleeding?" And he's like, "Yeah." You don't seem fazed by the fact that you're like, it just was so absurd. When you have these weird things in Survivor now where it's like we have to lie about what this thing is, it's always a catch-22. It's like, if you're going to lie, you got to have a good lie and make sure that the people are on your side, or you got to be the person that's like, hey, this is the real tea. Let me, and get yourself in that way.
Well, and so I love though the fact that Dre was like, okay, but we're here to play Survivor. Let's do this. Let's take
Yes.
this. And so they had to like undo like 20 knots in order to get these amulets, whatever, then cover themselves with blood and dirt. I don't think though that. Wait, I guess we find this out later. So we'll just leave it at that as they run back and they have to go get into their boats and they have to now row. What are you gonna say?
One thing about that challenge though that I didn't like was we never got like an after the fact like report on them. None of them explained what happened in that part. So it's like, did that not like confuse any of the other tribe mates? Like, why are they not talking about this? And that would have been something to see. Like, we would have loved, because it was like, well, then what was the point of this? Except for to put them together.
Well, absolutely. Like with everybody being like, oh my God, what did they have to do over there? It's taken them so long. And then they come back covered in blood and dirt. And then they don't say anything about it. I thought that the payoff was going to be them coming up with some story that like was like, oh my God, what are they all going to say? Are they going to say the same thing? Are they going to get found out once they get to merge? Like what are they going to say about the fact that they're covered in so much crap? So totally with you there that like, they didn't resolve that as the show. Something must have been said. I can't imagine just people just letting that go and like not.
No, I would ask. I'd be like, "Oh my God, tell me about the challenge," and then I would read. I would like read into what they're giving me, and I'd be like, "Oh, we fucking lied. There's some sort of decision or something." I mean, it's hard because, as you said, they haven't seen season 41, so they don't know that there's those types of things. So I guess it's a little bit harder to guess that, you know.
But you think that they would be like, so what was with the blood?
Yeah, exactly. Like, are you okay?
You don't want to know. Like, what can you say? And she's like, it's Survivor. It's the monster. We face the monster.
It's the monster.
So, like, seeing Jonathan with the boat and swimming and pulling the boat, like, he is definitely impressive.
Yes.
Like, I can't even believe how great that he's capable, like what he's capable of doing. I definitely underestimated how good he was going to be at challenges. It's quite amazing. So Marianne, wait, what are we talking about? Taku lost the lead. So I guess that why did Marianne? Oh, Mariah. Okay, so it was the second part of the challenge. So the last part of the challenge, they had to go row out, get bamboo sticks, come back with the bamboo sticks and be able to create a little bit of like a hook to be able to grab their keys and pull it in. And I don't remember what happened at the end, but that was intentional. Mariah was there first. We thought that she was going to get it. Taku was going to win, and she definitely lost her lead. Everybody catches up. Hai, which I thought was interesting, that Hai, who also did the blood, did this portion of the challenge. But who won in the end? So Ika ended up winning because Roxroy, he was doing the kind of lassoing in the key. It falls on the ground. He's able to drag it over, and eventually that team Blue wins. So I wonder if it's going to be, at this point I was thinking like, oh my God, is Blue going to be the dominant team again? Because last season it was like everything was won by Blue. So Roxroy does it. They come from behind and they end up winning, so they're the only two tribes that are going to get, or only tribe that's going to get Flint, and what else do they get? Just Flint?
Yeah, they don't get rice. Oh, they get a machete and a pot.
Machete.
And a pot. Yeah, that's right.
Poor people. And so the other two teams leave. So Taku and Aika, and Hai, who is doing that challenge. I was so surprised that he did both of them, but Daniel has to go take a look at medical. And so he's there and he's like, just pop it back in. And like, they showed us popping it back in. Like, that's NSFW in my opinion.
I was impressed though, because I was like, you stayed calm. And later on when we find out, like, he's the one who's had was it leukemia? He had some
childhood leukemia.
Yeah, and it's like, so he's someone who stays calm and positive in hard illness type situations because he's had to do that from such a young age. So the way that he was just like, yep, like on day one, if I popped my fucking shoulder in Survivor, I'd be like, I'm fucking done. Like my anxiety would be through the roof. I'd be like, I'm just going to make it worse. And the fact that I was very impressed by the way he reacted to it.
I mean, I think that he probably really wanted to stay in the game. He did not want this to take him out of the game. And so I think he was putting on even more of a brave shoulder. And so when they popped it back in, and she did say, like, this isn't enough to take you out of the game, but keep an eye on it. So I'm wondering if it's going to be something that reflares up, because it is still a pretty grueling game where they have to climb things and pull things and drag things. And so he could be re-injured again.
Oh yeah.
Which is definitely scary. So pop it back in. Yikes. But not pulled from the game. I was happy that he wasn't pulled. I do not like people leaving for injury. It's so anticlimactic. It doesn't show me like, oh, this game is so hard. Like, it just shows me like, you know what? You made something dangerous for people. And like, I think that's on the production that they didn't create a safe environment for their contestants. So I'm happy that he stayed. So, Zach excited to, what am I talking about? I'm so like not used to these people that I'm like, I don't know what's going on in this episode.
I still don't know all their names yet, honestly.
Zach? Oh, okay. So Zach, like, is definitely, super fan, and he's like talking about like, oh my God, like, it's my first confessional. I'm excited to sit at the tree trunk. And like, I can understand that as a fan to be like, getting into position to do confessionals. Like, literally, that would probably be my exciting moment, to be like, oh my God, I'm doing a confessional. So fun. So Dre talks about her being from Texas and living in Montreal. So that was interesting too, because I was like wondering, like, I'm like surprised that there's so many Canadians, but it doesn't seem like she's Canadian. It seems like she's an American living in Canada. So that was because I have her as like my winner pick right now. And so I was like, I just don't think that they're going to give 2 Canadians in a row a win. Like, I just can't imagine that. But Stranger Things.
But they don't know. Remember, they don't know.
They will eventually. No,
last season who won? No, they don't know who won last season.
Oh, so them.
Canadian won.
You are right. Yeah. You are correct. That's true. CBS will be like, okay, no more Canadians. This is done. Swati also gets a package. It was really nice to see her family and her growing up. I personally think that 19 is just too young to win the game. Be there for the experience, but I can't imagine someone 50 choosing to award somebody 19 $1 million, no matter how mature they are. I just can't see it. It just doesn't seem like the right decision to make, but I'm happy to see her there. She seems like she's accomplished a lot. She's an Ivy League student in the military. Like, I think that she's definitely very accomplished.
Yeah. Of all young people that have been on, like, I was like, oh, like, you're a good choice for the show. But I agree with you. I would have a hard time as someone in their 30s being like, yeah, 19-year-old, here's $1 million. But
I think the only way a young person can win is if they play the more respectable way of winning. Because I think if they play the devious way, then that's another like part of, I don't know if I feel comfortable giving this person money. So I think they've got to find a way to be heroic and maybe put themselves against those people that are not heroic.
She could do that. She could do that. Maybe.
But I kind of think that there's an unconscious or subconscious, like, okay, we're not going to give them the money type thing. So they're not necessarily a threat. It's kind of like, I'd call it the Xander effect. Like, Xander thought that he's playing such an epic game and keeping his idol, but people just were not threatened by him because they knew that nobody was going to award him the money. So it just kind of became like inconsequential. So I'm wondering if the similar thing will happen with her being someone even younger than Xander. If that, yes, they might like her. Yes, they might use her for their vote, but I just don't know if she's going to be a winner threat near the end. So she probably will go quite far.
I forgot about Xander. Ugh, sorry.
Do we know if Andrea Balke and him are actually dating? I saw like a post before. And
oh
it
my
was
God,
like,
no, I don't know.
Anyways, I don't know if that's true. Chat, let me know if that's true.
His game was so epic when it was anything but. It was anything but epic.
Yes.
He made so many mistakes, and these people were so distracted by all these other things, and that's why he got so lucky.
I'm like, he could have maybe convinced people to win if he used that idol to better his game, save his allies, but he didn't take that as an opportunity. He thought that holding on to it and knowing that like he didn't need it was more powerful than actually using it as leverage to be able to gain numbers and making moves in the game. So he was taking kind of a passive seat, and he thought that he was playing a real epic game.
Yeah.
The youth, right?
Youth.
So at the Ika tribe, we see Dre, Romeo, and Roxroy making fire. They're kind of working together. They're the older people from the tribe. And then we see Tori, Swati, and Zach playing with the palm prawns. Anyways, I never know what the actual word is there. So Tori thinks that she's like a genius because she like brings up Harry Potter. I mean, okay, I never was on the Harry Potter train because I was too old for it. So, but I feel like anybody that's like at least 5 to 10 years younger than me will all have read Harry Potter. Like,
of course,
I think it's your
it's
generation.
my generation. It's not the 19 to 20 whatever generation. Yes, a lot of them still like Harry Potter, but it's those of us who are the same age as when the books were coming out. Like, we're the generation of Harry Potter. But like, do you?
It was kind of like, I mean, they probably read it, but like, they're not like obsessed. Like, it's the people that are like between like 29 and like 33.
Yes.
I think they're the people that are like obsessed with Harry Potter.
Very
because
much.
like,
I
that's
have a tattoo I regret. Like, that's really Harry Potter. So I understand.
Was it done by Melina?
No, that one was she probably is too cool. She wouldn't have done it. No, that was back when I was young, and it was like my first tattoo, and I was like, it's the only thing I'll love forever.
What is it? Tell me. And where is it?
I got it's I didn't get the Deathly Hallows, thank God. That's what most people get. I got it's the potion bottle of the of the Felix Felicis, like the good luck potion that he takes in the 6th book. And it's like that feeling like he can do no wrong.
Okay.
And at the time, me and my friends were like, we each had a different potion that we like connected to that we were going to get from Harry Potter. Anyways, needless to say, it's hidden, and I would never wear anything revealing enough for anyone to see it. So it's not a big deal.
But you have to explain it to every boyfriend you'll ever have for the
Yeah. Or it's just like looks kind of like a potion bottle. So I'm like, it could be anything. I could just be like, ooh, I like potions. I'm witchy or something, you know?
Okay. I'm actually obsessed with this. Thank you, Michelle. I've learned something new about you today. So
you didn't know.
I didn't know. Agent Secret says Andrea and Xander hung out again during the 42 premiere party. There's definitely something going on. She's a little bit too old for him, I would think. She's at least a decade older, right? I think she's in her 30s.
I don't know. What's her last name? What's her name?
I can't spell it. Belke, like Boehlke, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is 32.
So, yeah, at least a decade.
It says that she's an American television host. It does not say Survivor.
Well, she does host like Survivor, like a show about Survivor.
Oh,
and,
okay,
like,
Wasn't she doing, was it People Magazine? Was that what she was
something
doing?
like that?
Like
One of
the
the
interviews for
magazines.
that.
Yeah, People Now.
Mhm.
Host of People Now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that gig. That would be pretty awesome. Okay, so the people that didn't get the Flint, so they are going to have to be faced with the same what's the word I want? Oh my God, I can't think today. The same dilemma as last season. So they have to do Savvy or Sweat. And so last season with the Sweat one, 2 people had to go back and forth. They had 4 hours to do it and fill up the drum. And they did have the opportunity to go and run into the woods and maybe look for an idol if they wanted to. So they changed that and said only one person now is going to be doing that task if they chose it. And then the other option was the same, was the triangles to see whether or not they can see how many triangles they have. They gave them 2 guesses. I believe they only gave them 1 guess last season and 2 guesses.
I think they only gave them 1 guess last season. So switch the 1 and the 2 between.
So they really wanted people to do the triangle, apparently. So
Yes.
what did you guys think about this? What would you guys have chosen? And did you guys also freeze your computer or TV and count the triangles?
Well, I think that for myself, I think that I mean, what Mike said was right. That would go down to one person doing it, and they would be segregated. I think that this is one of those you want to bond as a tribe, so you win it or lose it together as a tribe, kind of options. So I think that was the smart thing to do. But I did like that once it got started, the one tribe, 3 of them just said, "Look, there are other things that we do need to get done, so we trust you 3." And we're going to go build camp, and they sort of divided it in half.
Yeah, I thought that was smart.
Which I think was good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, definitely having too many people on like a puzzle like that, it would be too many noises, too many
confusing.
voices. Because, you know, I thought it was hilarious though when there's, I think it was with the Green Tribe, Vati, that somebody guessed like 11 or something. Oh no, sorry, it was Jonathan guessed 11, and Omar's like, I'm at 36 right now. Like, who's 11?
Who was it? What's her name? The one who was like, yeah,
Jenny.
like none of you should be done talking right now. You should not have answers yet.
Jenny, yeah.
It was Jenny.
There are
like,
more
I got my
things to figure
answer.
out. I was like, no, you don't. I would have triangle too, 100%. Because at least, you know, there's just too much risk involved with the one person going. I wouldn't trust.
The one person going would be basically going to be voted out of the game, basically.
Exactly. And also, the triangle thing is easy. Like, it takes time, but you have 4 hours. I agree. Don't get everyone to do it. I would be like, just give me 1 hour. I will like make sure, and I will triple check that I have it done, or like and then have someone else do it for an hour, like whatever. But I don't think it's that difficult to do, especially since you got to pick 2 numbers. That's the good thing. Because then you have the risk of like, is this also counted as 1 or is it not? Like the overall, like, or whatever.
Yeah, well, definitely the overall. That's like the last one that like everybody usually forgets.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, I mean, it's just very interesting to me. And I guess it's what I'm interested in because I love puzzles. I love brain teasers. So I've seen this puzzle thousands of times. It's just it's surprising to me that it was the first time that some people have seen a puzzle like this. I'm like, really? Like, I feel like I've seen it thousands of a puzzle like
I remember in school, like, and it was like, okay, you're done like your test, we're gonna have some quiet time, here's this triangle puzzle around class, and you're like doing this in like grade 3, how many triangles are there? So it's like surprised that some people didn't get the concept of what they were looking for there.
It kind of reminds me, Michelle, you'll remember this. So with like in the challenge where they had like how many, like had to make certain squares or certain different shapes where they had to move those big things. And I'm like, we've seen these puzzles before, but I realized that it's because like I like brain teasers that I've seen them before, but some people like just, they never cross them. And so.
Yeah, I've seen them a lot. And like, I don't consider myself a puzzle queen by any stretch. But I would say I'm like, definitely not in the meathead level. I'm like in that middle where like I can deduce it, but I would never be the fastest one. But but I've done enough of them. I've tried enough of them, you know the concept of what you're trying to look for.
Well, it's kind of like, so Michelle and I played a Big Brother together. I think this is the one of the ones that we played together, not the one I was watching of yours. I can't remember. Anyways, but I thought it was really well known, like how colors worked. Right. And so like it basically like they had to like make like green and like make orange and stuff like that. And people actually did not understand primary colors, secondaries colors.
I won.
And she won this battle back because she had to like mix colors and make different colors. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. Wow. That's super easy. I thought that everybody would get that.
Me
it would
too.
be like
I thought I would lose. I was like, everyone's going to know this.
And so I was flabbergasted that people did not know that like blue and yellow make green and like red and yellow make orange. And I was just like, wow, like it's just like, knowledge that I have.
There was one question that the clue was, I am not a primary color. And the options you had at that point were red, yellow, blue, and green. So that was a question for me that required zero thought. That clue was pull the green, go, continue, right? Like I was just trying to do it as fast as I could. And then there was people who didn't understand what a primary color was. And I laughed so hard. And then I felt bad because I thought they were joking. Anyways.
But it's just like, it's so interesting when you think something's so, and everybody knows that people actually just are not familiar with. So Agent Secret says, I'm good at puzzles, but I would have had lost count halfway through every time. Well, you would then learn, like you have hours. So you would learn what you've counted when you get to a certain point. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, I know that I counted that triangle already because I've already counted through this 15 times. So you would figure out what you've counted and be like, oh my God, I've never counted that triangle before. And you would be able to recognize new ones. So with time, like if you only had one shot to do it, you would probably not get the right answer. Like I did freeze the TV for a second. I just counted once and I got 41. Yeah. And so like, that was just like me just being like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But like, if I had 4 hours, I would have probably recounted that 50 times until I got the same number, the highest number or whatever, and the same as everybody else. So Agent Secret, I think that you would have gotten the number. I think we all would have, to be fair.
Yeah. I do think it was actually really good the way they filmed that part too, because I mean, that could be a really boring thing to watch. Like, really? Like, I mean, it's like, okay, after a while, you're just watching people do triangles. But they filmed it and it was more on them, how they were coming up with the numbers. So I appreciated that.
We got to see Marianne, like, make this you know, like, doing her little fingers, and they put the graphics up with it. So, yeah, they definitely made it enjoyable.
She's such a little cutie, isn't she?
She's so cute. She's so sweet.
She's on my tribe. I'd just be like, we gotta work together, girl. Like,
of course.
This is the best.
We do see Mike get he's 57. He gets a bit of a package showing him at the police force. Oh, and just like I didn't mention it, but both tribes did get the answer 51. I believe both of their second choices, which they had to choose at the same time, was 52. And so what?
One of them was 50 and 51, and one was 51
I'm lying.
And 52.
Thank you for being here, Michelle. But yes, they both got 51 being correct, which was, I was happy because I wouldn't want anybody to have done that, taken that time, and especially if the other half of the tribe is making fire and starting with the shelter and stuff like that, and then they don't get it, like that would just, like, that wouldn't be great. So I'm happy that they both got that. So what did you guys think about Roxroy and his work ethic? You don't remember?
It's wonderful. It's wonderful if he's building something for you. I guess that's wonderful. But playing Survivor, it's horrible.
He's doing about, like, all the things that you do to get people to not like you.
To get voted out first, even if you're the strongest asset of the tribe. Like,
literally, you just built you're being an asshole and being rude to people. Like, number one thing on day one, like, you should be not the voice of any, like, you know what I mean? Like, do your work, and then people will be, you know, like, it was so uncomfortable. I was like, oh no, don't do this. Don't do this.
I do like, though, the fact that he asked Dre, like, am I being too lectury? And she's like, just take it down a little bit. And so he is able to see that, yes, he's frustrated, but like, he kind of has to take it down a little bit. So I'm happy that he was able to recognize that in himself, because I'm like, Roxroy, like, you're going to get out first if you keep up with this, even if you're an asset.
Yeah.
So Dre decides to go read the clue that's stuffed in her bra from when she smeared blood all over herself with the other two people. And we learn the power of this amulet that they all three have. So if all three of them are still like around, and each one still has their amulet, I believe it's a extra vote. And if one person is gone, then it would be considered a steal a vote. And if there's only one person that's still in the game, then it becomes a full, like, usage idol. Now, they didn't fully explain this to me, but do they have to be a merged tribe when they use the steal a vote or the extra vote?
This is what's confusing to me.
And if they don't, do they know when? I guess they would know when someone was voted off, and so they'd be like, okay, I know I can use. I know now that at least one person's gone, so like I know this is now a steal a vote.
Here's the thing.
They
It said they have to all use it at the same time.
No. Because like if say like I'm on my own tribe, right? And I decide to use the extra vote, that means that my amulet is dead. Right? And so
And
the
then
other
can
two
the other two can-
people would still have theirs and it would be a steal a vote for them. So how would they know is basically my
That's my
point.
thing. Yes, how would they know it's been used if you're still in the game? Like that's
Yeah.
and if I've used like say I've used my amulet and the other two on the other tribes haven't, but I'm still in the game, do they get informed at some point, by the way, now it's a steal a vote?
I would think that they'd have to get some sort of note in their bag or something that would say the power
And is it a steal a vote because I've used my amulet, or is it only a steal a vote once I'm actually voted off? Then it becomes an amulet.
I think when the amulet is used it's not in play anymore. So whether that person is out of the game or the amulet's been used, I think it still means that only the other two will be in play.
That's interesting because you could play it like if you end up merging and there's two of you left and it's like, hey, like let's strategize. You steal this person's vote and then vote, I will have an idol for us to use. Like use it together or at least try to do something like that. There's so much you could do with
that's a good way of looking at it. I was thinking like, who am I gonna have to get out so I can have this the full power idol? But no, that's a really smart though. If you could use the power beforehand and then so you'd have 3 powers that you could use if you all got together. That's cool.
So you really have to make them trust you because you have to convince the other person to use their steal a vote instead of you. It's like one
and
of us
I think you're also hoping that they're going to be a part of that when they do the twist, like of the tribes when they shake it up. You're going to hope that at least one of them is with you, so then you guys can like start building some sort of thing. Because if it's right at the merge, then it's going to be like, I don't know if I can trust this person, like, because you haven't talked to them.
Very true.
They're not on the same tribe, so it's like, how can you really trust them? Except for the fact
that
you
they're going to swap so soon. I bet there's going to be.
Are they though?
Yeah,
I think last time.
Like in next episode or the one after, they're just going to like swap it, and then it's going to be like, oh, 2 of them are together now, or like one of them's or something. I don't know. I feel like they swap so much these days,
but they didn't swap at all last season.
They didn't?
Mm-mm.
Really?
No.
Didn't they go to 2 tribes?
Yeah, I thought they
on 2. Well, they had like a little bit on one beach, wasn't it? I don't remember them going to 2 tribes.
You know what? I don't know.
I thought that the mergatory was everybody living on one beach, and then it was like the whole hourglass thing. But I don't remember them ever going.
I thought they swapped tribes because there were times where it was like more advantageous for some of them to be on a tribe.
They played, like they kind of played in 2 tribes at the merge time.
I don't know. I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm remembering it wrong.
Help us out, chat. Help us out. Adrian says Rossway basically showed us the definition of an age gap division in that scene. Like, you're not their dad. No, you're not their dad. And you have to realize that and connect with people in a way that's like, they want you around. They want you to help them. And nobody likes being told what to do by someone they don't know, especially. So
yeah, that's the worst way to start a friendship or connection with someone, is to tell them what to do. Like,
yeah. I think you wait for one of the young people to screw up, and then you start doing that with people and going, like, now we've got a target, and you're both annoyed, and I'm annoyed. Let's talk about our annoyance.
Exactly. Just not like you can't just be barking out orders and expect people to be like, "Oh, I love you." Like, so then on the other tribe, we get to see it's nighttime, and Jackson's telling stories, and this is our first kind of real introduction to Jackson, who is a trans man. And in this story, he talks about he applied for Survivor over 10 years ago as a woman. And I thought that was really like to wrap my head around it. And so I'm just curious how that whole process happened with production. So did they know that she had transitioned to male now, and that, like, did they reach out to him, or did he apply now as a male and reminded them who he was beforehand? Did you guys pick up on that or hear anything about how that went down?
No.
I haven't heard anything about why, if he was approached to be casted or if applied. I mean, I would imagine if he applied, he would have mentioned that, and that would have been definitely an interesting story that they probably were like, that's something that we want to have on the show.
Especially him applying beforehand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I could also see them maybe reaching out if they had found out about that. Like, I mean, it depends how well when he first applied as a woman, how much was she in the running at that time, right? Or
that's true. Maybe they
right,
knew
like,
that
yeah.
there was conflicting feelings of identity with like what they were presenting at that time. So I think it's just a very interesting story, and it is the first story of that kind to be fully showed to us as an audience. So I was really pleased just to see this, because like it's a little bit out of my world, you know. So a lot of people that I've known that have transitioned don't particularly enjoy talking about who they were before who they are right now. And so it was interesting to see that who they were before actually allowed them to be on the show. Like, it was part of their growth and their being cast. So I thought it was very interesting, and it was a very welcomed new character to bring to the screen. So I really like that. And Jackson was basically saying that he wants to be completely transparent and, you know, show who he really is. So I thought it was a great moment.
Yeah, the one thing that I didn't like about it towards the end of the conversation, there was some sort of comment about trust or something. Like, I didn't want to be, and that took me to a former season like that took me to oh my god,
yes,
name is escaping. Zeke. That took me to Zeke, and I was just like, I don't know if that line needed to be put into the edit. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I get that why it was said and everything, but I don't know if that needed to be on there, because it kind of felt like
it makes it seem as though he was saying
Zeke
that
wasn't being, and it was like, that's not even part of this. Like, let's not make that a thing. So, yeah, I don't know. It just, and maybe that's just me, and I was being sensitive to it. But I just, once it was said, it took me to that moment again, and I was like, I don't want to go back to that moment, because that was a crappy moment. Like,
I didn't think about that then, but when hearing you say that now, it's definitely not necessarily the best wording to be like, oh, I want to be honest with you. And it's like, yeah, it definitely could be implying that Zeke was being dishonest with, you know, who he was. And I don't think that is true or fair. So
that
I agree.
goes down to like the worst moment I've ever seen.
Yeah. And I don't think that was any intention of the show or that. I just wish that they didn't put that one line in. I just wish they just didn't show it. Like, it's okay that he said it, but just wish they didn't show it.
So on the Green Tribe, Vati, we kind of have some duos that are going on. So we have Lydia and Hai, which is, I think it's an unlikely duo, but I like them both. I like Lydia more than I thought I would. She's a little bit younger. So Lydia and Hai, then we have Chanel and Daniel, which I'm like, really? Those two are a duo? And then Jenny and Mike. I'm like, those are a duo? Like, all three of these duos are just a little bit not what I would expect at all. I definitely, though, love seeing Daniel's package. We learn more about, you know, the fact that he had childhood leukemia, and seeing a lot of pictures of what he went through and his family. And so it was nice to get to know Daniel a little bit. And I really think that Survivor CBS is been watching all of Australian Survivor and being like, oh, we got to really amp up these package moments, because this is, I like it, but it's very uncharacteristic of how they've been doing it lately in CBS Survivor. Did you guys notice that too?
I did. I was like, all these backstories in the first episode, like the way it was transpiring, I was like, I'm learning more about these people at the beginning. And I thought that was interesting. And I agree. I was like, this is not like what they've been doing recently.
No, not at all.
I think that they've listened to the fans, because, I mean, it's been years of the fans going, we don't get to know the players anymore. We want to get to know the players. And so I think that this was wonderful. I'm glad that they took this. I think they did take it from how the Australian Survivor does it, which is great. I have to say, I went into this. Daniel is one of those players that I was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to like this guy. and I love him. I think
Yeah.
he's a wonderful character. I mean, I've dealt my job. I work with cancer, people living with cancer, and the way that he expressed what he went through and everything, I think that he's really going to be inspiring for a lot of kids out there that are doing this and need some motivation. So that's wonderful. But I just felt, wow, he's a really good character, and I'm cheering for him. And I was like, at the beginning, I was like, I'm not sure about him.
I know, I totally agree. And he was also kind of like not playing to win, just saying like, oh, like my archetype doesn't, like they've won already. And so like, I'm probably gonna have a big target and like, I don't really expect myself to win. But I think that he's going to realize that he actually may have a shot to win. And maybe he just didn't want to disappoint fans and him going in as a super fan and being like, I'm going to go in there and win. And so now, like, if he does end up winning, like fans will be really excited and like, he would prove something to himself. So I think he just wants to mitigate disappointment from himself and from people that are rooting for him. But I'm definitely a fan. I'm definitely rooting for him. Thumbs up for Daniel. So on the other tribe, I should be writing down all the tribes. I keep on forgetting because I'm like, I don't know who's on what tribe. I didn't write it down. So we have Zach and Romeo starting a little bit of an alliance, the Skinny Boys alliance. Zach only weighs 118 pounds and Romeo weighs 112. And like Zach looks tall. Like Zach looks tall. My mom is tiny and she weighs like the same as like Romeo. And I'm like, what? That's like so small. And like my mom is like, I literally teeny tiny. I can't imagine seeing these men out there that men usually are heavier than women, even if they're the same height. It just tends to be. And so they must be teeny tiny.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they could go down to double digits if they last the whole way.
Oh my gosh.
For their weight. Like,
scary.
That's scary.
I haven't been that little since I was like 11. Like,
well, you're super tall, so that's understandable.
They look taller than me. I mean, I don't know how tall they are.
Maybe Zach might be. Romeo didn't look as tall as you, but Zach could maybe. But like, I definitely don't weigh that much either. I was just like, oh. So they have like this awkward alliance talk, and like I didn't realize that Zach was going to be as awkward as he actually is. It's just like, suck it up and just talk to this person. Like you don't have to be like a awkward alliance talk. Just like talk to them and be like, hey, let's work together. Like I don't know why it was so challenging for him just to like strike up a conversation with someone that you're building rapport with.
Yeah.
And I started to regret. He's on my draft team. I was like, oh, if you can't like do this with somebody that like is vibing with you, like I don't trust you in this game. I don't think.
I was getting through this whole episode with him. I was getting huge Cochran vibes from him in the sense that I felt like the edit was like trying to push us to really like him and how nerdy he is. And so I was like, oh, he's gonna do really well in this game. And then well, we know what happens.
Radar's off there. Tori goes into the woods looking for a taro root. As somebody that's a gamer, why would she do this? Like, even if she is looking for taro root or not an idol, she has to know that people are going to assume that she's looking for an idol, especially if she comes back with no taro root. I thought this was a complete misstep. Like, why are you laughing, poor Tori?
Because she came back with like plants. She didn't come back with root.
A couple leaves.
Did she know what taro root was?
I think she probably researched like Fiji Islands, like what kind of food sources are there, and so she's like, let me go foraging. But like, if you're gonna do that, like do it with everybody, like, and be like, hey, like, well, let's go see if we can find some taro root, and like make it a teaching moment, and like maybe you guys can all find it together.
You should always be with at least one person at all times for the first 2 to 3 days. I would say, or at least, especially the first day.
At least 2. At least. Maybe even 3. At least half.
If you're going somewhere, hey, want to come with me? You always can have a conversation. You always have an excuse of where you were and who you were talking to, so you were never seen alone. And like, if you're gonna sneak, it better be at night when no one is like, you know what I mean? Like, it's too risky. Like,
Right? It's
Too
so
risky.
risky. People will make everything up, and that's basically what happens. She leaves for like a second, and Romeo's like, "She's first." Like it's like she's not even out of like earshot, and he's already like, "Yeah, let's vote her out." So I thought that it was really a big misstep. And then when she came back, she noticed that the vibe was off, which at least that's good that she has that kind of perception that like, okay, things have changed and it was because I went off by myself, but really she should not have gone off by herself at all. So a boat shows up and they are going to be taking one person from each tribe. So Marianne really wanted to go, but she kind of was like, well, if nobody else wants to go, but like she really wants to really go for her Survivor experience. So she is going to be going from the Taku tribe, Orange. Jenny got the short straw, so she's going to be going on the boat, as well as Dre. So it's 3 women that are going to be going to on the summit walk, which I thought was great because I believe last season it was all 3 men that went. Yeah. So I'm wondering if I'm wondering if it seems like a lot of things already, like the opposite happening.
Flipping.
Exactly. Yeah. So hopefully that means like it'll be a good season. Sorry, Erica.
We still like Erica.
I still like her, absolutely, but
yeah,
her season has a little bit
we
of a
just
star
didn't get to know her very well. We didn't get to know her or her game.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know how she would play. Like if I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I want to play the game with her or like her. I just don't know what happened. So
yeah,
it's unfortunate for her. So they have to follow the path after they get off the boat to the summit. We get Marianne's package from her parents are from Kenya, and you know she wants to represent all the weirdos, kind of like what I mentioned before. And so it was really nice to see, as I mentioned already, just seeing where she came from and her wanting to be here, and her mom not understanding why she even likes the show. And so I thought that was a beautiful little segment for Miss Marianne. So they get to the top of the summit, and we know that it's going to be, well, it's not really a prisoner's dilemma, but they have to go and make their own decision. So I thought it was I knew that this is how people were going to choose, most likely. Were you guys surprised at all by who decided to risk their vote and who decided to protect their vote? Were you surprised by this at all?
I wasn't surprised. Immediately I was like, I just knew, is it Jenny? Was it third? I just knew that Jenny was not going to risk her vote. I just felt like Jenny was not willing to take that risk this early. And I had a feeling, like my first instinct was all 3 of them might take it. All 3 of them might risk it. But then I went, wait, I think Jenny won't. I think
exactly.
Because I think Jenny is perceptive enough to understand that the 2 of them are definitely going to risk it. That's the problem. Is it's like, I want to risk it to be like, fuck you. Like, if you're going to risk it, I'm going to risk it, is my mindset. But then it's like, well, then we all lose the vote. If I can throw you a bone, then like I can use this later. Hopefully, if I'm in the merge, I can use this and be like, I did this for you.
Absolutely. I 100% had the same thought pattern. Go ahead, Phil.
I actually think Jenny made the smartest move of them because she actually thought about what the other 2 were doing. And, I don't know. I don't know if she might have went the other way had it been a whole nother thing. I'm getting the vibe with Jenny that she can read people pretty well. And that's a good thing. I don't think she's on my draft. She's not one on my draft. And I'm wishing she was.
Who's
got Jenny?
I have Jenny.
Yeah, I like it, Jenny.
I'm definitely happy to have Jenny. She's a little bit cerebral. I love the fact that like, she's like, you know what? Most likely those 2 are going to choose to steal a vote because that is what probably her first instinct was. And so she's like, if both of them are thinking to do that, I have to protect my vote. But at least I know that most likely the 2 of them both have the prize is going to be. So
vote,
yeah. Is it an extra vote? Do we know that for sure?
An extra vote. Yeah.
Right. We see it when they go to vote. So I did love that. And yes, I agree. It was amazing. Those 3 women of color. Thanks for reminding me of that, Adrian. Jenny did an amazing job of thinking through the decision. Absolutely. And I loved actually also how Marianne did it, being like, you know what, like people that are Christian, they play a little bit hesitant. She's like, I'm not going to play that way. So I'm going to risk it. And I'm going to just go for this and risk my vote. So
Yeah.
Marianne also made a calculated decision, and I guess she was willing to live with the consequences if she had to
Yeah.
lose her vote. And I do like that she was deliberately choosing to take that risk. So
Mhm.
I'll give her props there as well. And Dre looks like she is going to take every advantage she could possibly get in this game. She
Yes.
is playing to win, it seems, like
Oh,
big time.
yes. This is her second thing that she has already.
Absolutely.
Like,
First episode, first day, 2 days.
she is killing it in terms of like her drive, and I definitely see her like making the merge for sure. I'm gonna get scared for her later on just because I feel like she is gonna emerge as a very powerful player if and when people find out about these powers. Because once
Mhm.
you find out someone's had more than one power and you're like, I've been fucking surviving and you already have powers, okay, shit, I can't trust, you know.
Totally agree. And we did see from the preview from the next episode. I mean, I think it's a red herring, but they're like, "Oh, let's go for Dre. Oh, let's go for Mike's." And so those are two people that there's going to be a conversation around getting them out, but they're not going to show us that. I don't think if like that's actually what's going to go down. So, I'm interested to see though why people are saying her name. Get your hands off of Dre. She's my winner pick.
Yeah.
So Jackson at the Taku tribe has been dizzy for 10 hours. And Lindsay, who's a nutritionist, I think, she's worried about him and kind of getting him to drink more water. And then we see Jeff arrive on a boat. So I'd heard that there was potentially going to be a medevac on the first episode. And so, but I thought that was already kind of taken care of with the Daniel thing. Like, oh, there was a medical, but it wasn't an evacuation. But then when I saw Jeff show up and then we see Jackson being dizzy, I'm like, oh, what's happening here? So this is where we had a situation that it's kind of a little bit divided on how people are feeling within themselves and then also within like the community. So it wasn't very clear as to what was going on, but apparently Jackson didn't disclose to production that he was on lithium and that he has been weaning himself off of it. And the circumstances around being on Survivor, it's dangerous for production to have somebody be starving and dehydrated being on lithium or even weaning off of it. And so Jeff was upset that Jackson didn't let him know about this. And Jackson thought, and his partner thought that they would be able to wean off of it and be okay. And so Jeff and production were waiting a couple of days to see how he was doing. And then they finally have decided that it was too dangerous for Jackson now to continue on in the game. So there's mixed thoughts as to whether or not Jackson should have taken that opportunity from somebody else that was going to be upfront with their medical history and be like honest about that. And then there's also people that are upset with production for the fact that they knew that he was potentially in a medically dangerous situation and they were watching him, but like they kind of seemingly exploited his story a little bit. So just little thoughts on both sides of that coin, if you guys.
Yeah. It is interesting that like, yeah, it's like they wanted him to be able to experience this. It's always been a dream of his. Because they only found out the day before they were leaving, it was like they weren't sure how it was going to go. And they were like, well, he's literally like, he must have already been there or whatever, like with the date, whatever. It's like, I don't know. I think they should have not put him in the position at all, but also like, and I think they should always have maybe some alternates. I'm not sure if they do, but
yeah, they do.
At the same time, I think it was part of it to like give him this chance to feel it and share his story as well, which he thankfully did a great job of on the first night. Like perhaps they maybe warned him before they started being like, this is just a test to see, and like you might not be able to stay. Like, do you think he knew?
I'm not sure. Phil, what do you think about how this all went down?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of got the vibe that they might have known beforehand a little bit of this. It was just because of how well it was seemed to be done in a very respectful way, and it didn't seem like Jeff didn't seem like angry on the situation, and like it wasn't like news to like shocked or surprised that this was news to him, and it just felt yeah,
Maybe
I
it was
don't
an
know.
agreement that they made. It's
It
like,
was sort of an
hey,
agreement, yeah.
like, hey,
It could have been his
like we
story.
know
I mean,
about this.
I'm glad he got out there with the story. I think it's an important one. I kind of wish that they. I mean, I think if somebody tells somebody in production, like even at last minute, like by the way, I'm weaning off lithium, then that should have been with production. It should have been like, okay, red flag. We need to like hold off before we send them out on their boats. We need to like just check. Can we do this? And yeah, I kind of that part of the production thing kind of surprises me because I think even at like anywhere else in like a job or whatever, if at the very last second before something happens, like a presentation or something, and somebody goes, "Oh, by the way, I'm drunk," like you go, "Okay, wait, you're not going out there. Like you gotta do something about this." So, his story was interesting. Could it have been told in a future season while they're weaning him off of this, and maybe when he's in a better state of mind that he would be better? Maybe that was probably the right thing to do. I feel bad for the people. I feel worse for are the 5 people that don't have a player. I don't feel bad necessarily that there was some fictitious person out there that could have been on the show because whatever, we don't know that person. But I do feel like it sucks for the 5 people right off the bat who, nothing out of their hands that this person got on the island. So I
Yeah,
think
like
it's
Marianne
production's
took it the hardest for sure.
Oh my God.
No,
fault.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And I think it's like because she understands like this is a lot of people's dream, and so to be taken out this way, like it's definitely heartbreaking. It seems to me that there must have been some sort of agreement that was made, just because he handled it too well. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, I understand. Like, yeah, I'm gonna like, and fair, like he probably knew what was coming, even if I don't know, but I wish that he was just used for another season and like we were able to see his full journey and not be taken out this way because I think that would have been more satisfying for me. Because it's like, oh, what, like,
Yeah.
so is he never going to get to go on again, or is he going to be
Yeah, it
like,
would have been better if he could go on the next season instead.
Yeah.
right? Like,
Because
why does
they
he need
seem to
another
like
season?
him.
Absolutely.
Like they did like him, so he might have done really well. Like
Definitely could potentially do really well. And if we look at, so last season, Tiffany was a replacement for actually Lindsay. So Lindsay got COVID and she wasn't able to go on the season. So Tiffany was a last minute replacement. And so there's going to be somebody that we're going to enjoy as a character that would have been able to step in for Jackson's spot. And on 43, Jackson could like make the effort to wean himself off of lithium so that he's in the best condition for him to compete on the show safely. So I wish that they had done that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that we got to hear his story and we got to meet him. And hopefully, if there's a second chances type season where first boots or early evacuated people will get an opportunity to play. So fingers crossed there. So take a look at the new Taku tribe, and people are shocked that Jackson is gone. No explanation as to what happened, though. They just kind of let that go. So they're going to be playing for immunity, and it's going to be first 2 tribes that win. And they're going to be what did I talk about there? Snake. Oh, it's a snake. I'm like,
oh, the beautiful.
I love it.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I circled it because I wanted to talk about it. I was like, what am I, a snake? That's why I made that face. I just didn't know what my notes said. But yeah, I thought it was a really nice one. But then did you notice that the second one was just like a piece of wood? Like the other one was like, did all the production money go into the snake one? And then like the second one is like just like whatever riffraff they actually had at the end. And so Jeff does also reminds or tells them about the shot in the dark. And they chose 2 people to sit out, I believe. So Lydia and Romeo are sitting out of this challenge, I believe. So they had to collect these huge chests from out in the water, bring the chests back, put the chests in the boat, drag the boat on the track through like an obstacle course. It looked grueling, definitely physically taxing. What do you guys think of this challenge?
It looks so hard.
This was wonderful. Like, this was a good first challenge.
Yeah.
It looked tough. This, we're getting like a little bit closer to the Australian challenges, like, that are like crazy intense, but like, probably this is one of the most recent survivors that is like, this is the toughest one that they've had for a first one. I did not like that they kept focusing on Daniel. I was like, oh, something's gonna happen. Like, every time he was like grabbing the one of the chests, I was like, oh god, that kid's in trouble. So I'm wondering if next episode they'll talk like he did something, because they did keep going on to him during the challenge. So I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I definitely am worried for Daniel, but spoiler alert, he does come out okay for this challenge. It was just definitely, it all did come down to the puzzle in the end. So they were all exhausted, absolutely, but then people were doing the puzzle that you can see behind Phil right now, where it was they had to open each chest, and I thought it made it easier that each chest had just one section of puzzle. I was like, oh, well, that makes it a lot easier. There's like, you have to do 3 10-piece puzzles. But definitely with your adrenaline going, being tired in that blazing sun, like exhausted, I could see how it would be hard, but it's still like 3 10-piece puzzles. Like, if we think about it. So Vati is the Green Tribe is in the lead at the puzzle. And then out of nowhere, though, Orange ends up coming out and winning. So Omar is doing the puzzle with Mary Ann, and Taku takes the win. I was so happy for them. Mary Ann and Omar being 2 people from Ontario. They're doing the puzzle, getting it done. Second place was Jenny and Daniel. And so the people that are going to be going to tribal council will be the Blue Tribe, which is Ika, which is Zach and Swati that were on the puzzle. So they're going to be joining the tribal council. So the second idol was what I thought was really funny was I was just like basically a piece of like petrified wood, and then they just gave it to the second tribe, considering the other one was so much nicer. So it's going to be between Tori and Roxroy, apparently, like what this vote's going to be, because people are not really a big fan of Roxroy. But Tori decides to make a statement about the fact that, Zach told her that people were talking about her going off and looking for an idol. And so she never named Zach from what we saw, but she kind of just like declares, I wasn't doing that. I wanted to be transparent with you. And then she calls Drea. Sorry, Adrian, you are right. I did say Dre the last time, but I do know her name is Drea. Pulls Drea over for a chat. And so they talk a little bit, and Drea is upset with Roxroy, who didn't seem to be putting their all into the challenge, and that Drea felt that she was doing a lot of the actual back-breaking work within that challenge, and that Roxroy was just kind of chilling. So she wants Roxroy out of there. So what did you guys think of this last-minute scrambling before we get to tribal?
What happened? Like, so like it was like it was the young people against the old people. Then they go to this challenge, and the next day it's like none of that matters anymore. Now the one group they're against each other, and now the young people are going against each other. I was shocked. I was shocked about how much they were making fun of him for building the shelter, and they like, yeah, you built our shelter, now we're going. Now you're going. I was like, oh, that's a little surprising, but I did like the move in a way. She did very smart that she sort of, without saying Zach's name, she made them think about, well, how did she get that information? Like that we were talking about.
Exactly. Yeah. It was smart. I was worried for a bit for her though. I like for a bit I was like, this could bite her in the ass. I did when Zach was telling her this information, I was like, he is being too trusting. To tell someone else information that you've heard about people talking about them on like day 2 or whatever, it's like you don't know how they're going to react. You need to see them react to news that is shocking first, because some people blow up on the person, and he needs to think about the repercussions. If I tell her, what if she chooses to confront the other people and ask who's been doing it? it's going to blow up in my face. Say nothing. You heard it. It was spoken of. If you're asked about it, you know what I mean? Like, just that was a big mistake he made from the get-go, and then he just kept making more mistakes and turning her into an enemy when, like, turning her into an enemy when, like, when it was Roxroy's the thing, they could have been like, yes, okay, let's push it on him. Like, let's push it on Roxroy, you know?
Like, Roxroy is annoying people. Drea is fine that he didn't pull his weight in the challenge, literally. And then all of a sudden, Zach decided to kind of blow up his own game, it seemed, by being upset with Tori and being like, Tori's like, is throwing me under the bus. And like, he was apologizing because he was on the puzzle. Swati is kind of like, well, like I was doing the puzzle with him and he was like really freaking out and he wasn't really doing a good job. And I was like, ooh, so if Swati is like throwing you under the bus here. She jumped ship.
She seemed to jump on him for a whole nother reason. Like, it was like, they're all leaving you, Zach. They don't want you.
Poor guy. So Roxroy is talking to Swati, and Roxroy wants Zach gone. And so I think it was definitely about physicality here, like, and then Swati's like, yeah, he sucked at the puzzle. So it's like, okay, so you're supposed to be good at the puzzle and you're not physically capable. Like, why are we keeping you here? And it seems like you're causing a bit of drama within the tribe and spilling secrets of, like, the tribe. So he didn't really do himself any favors, unfortunately. And Romeo, though, does not want Zach to go because he has the Skinny Guys Alliance, but he is working with the older people, and he was happy that Drea was off of the Roxroy train to keep the older people together, and Zach was his secondary option. So I was thinking that he was probably going to let Zach go because we saw in the preseason trailer that Tori finds one of the Beware advantages. So I was like, well, I know that there's no drama really here because we saw that already. Mm-hmm. So we get to Tribal, and Jeff just wants to embarrass this poor kid. But, like, he asked him to, like, oh, so what do we say here, Zach? And so Zach is, like, talking about, like, when we come to tribal means life, fire means life, and whatever the saying is.
It's like, bye, Zach.
We just got to get you to say that your soundbite before you go. I didn't really write down anything else about the tribal council. I did assume that Zach was going to be using his shot in the dark, and with the shot in the dark, you do lose a vote. So he doesn't vote. Drea gets her extra vote because we know that Jenny risked her or protected hers, and so that means she gets an extra vote. And the vote is 3 that we are seeing for Zach. Basically, he went out on a unanimous vote because he did not have a vote. And I think that may be the first time in history that someone goes out with a unanimous vote, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that's the first time for the first vote, you mean?
Well, because he didn't have a vote, there wasn't somebody else that received votes that tribal. So I don't believe that's happened ever before.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it like that.
So that's a stat that he's claiming to have right now. Well, we made it through. We did chit chat a little bit long, but it was a double episode. But thank you guys for being here and chit chatting about this with me. It was super fun. Do you guys have anything going on that you want to share with the peoples?
Not really. Thanks for letting me jump in. Kind of like not planned and not prepared, but I love Survivor, and I'm very excited for next week.
I also, Michelle, I think I need to have you and Fanta. We need to do another impromptu The Challenge CBS rant. I watched your rant earlier today at work. Like but I would love to hear both yours and Fanta's opinion on the cast, on CBS's new, like, taking over Survivor, the challenge. So I want to hear that if you guys have time. So that would be really exciting. Oh, Dolores, I didn't know you were here. Thank you, Dolores, for being here. Phil, do you have anything going on with Good Time Games?
Nothing too exciting. No, nothing too exciting this week.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody in the chat. I know I didn't, it was kind of impromptu here, last minute. You guys showed up and turned out. It was great to have you. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Subscribe to Reality Realness with 3 S's. Thank you. Like this video if you're watching it afterwards, and leave a comment as to, I don't know, who's your winner pick right now? Actually, that is something that somebody asked us earlier on. We can go out with maybe answering this. Who are you rooting for right now? Who are your 2 favorite players right now?
I'm going to say Jenny and Marianne.
Love it. Phil?
Yeah. Oh, if we're saying like who do we like, because I'm not 100% sure that they're gonna win, but obviously, I mean, Marianne has to be up there because I think she's wonderful TV.
Yeah.
She's great. I did really like Jenny. I mean, Daniel's story really touched me this week. So and I went into this not thinking I'd like him. So I'm gonna put his name out there too, that I liked him. Yeah, and then winner pick, I don't know yet. I mean, I hope somebody from my picks. But
For me, like, I mean, I love all the people that you suggested, but I really would like to see Drea win, just because of the fact that she's already stated that she really wants to play hard. She's like, we're on Survivor, it's 26 days, let's play hard, let's do this. And like, I love that she is playing hard, and so I hope that she's going to be rewarded by the win in the end if she continues to play well and play hard. So I want to see her journey, and I would love to see her win at this point. I love Marianne as well. I love Jenny. I love Daniel. Is there anybody else? I haven't seen anything about Chanel, so I want to see Chanel, how she's gonna play the game, because I was very much interested in her preseason, and we didn't get very much from her this episode. So I'm intrigued by what Chanel's going to be bringing to the rest of the season. So those are my 2 picks.
Love it.
But that's it. Leave it in the comment. Let me know who you guys like, who you think is going to win, and who you want to win. Bye.
Bye.